So this is a login page for the learning management system. All users will log in through this page. There's another page that is specifically for administrators, and it basically just has admin at the end of the login. And so you can bookmark these pages if you're going to be going into the system as an administrator a lot. I would recommend bookmarking this page. If you do not have admin rights, you will not be able to log in through this page. It will give you an error. But most users will log in through this page. This will take the user to the learner interface, and the other login will take the user to the admin interface. So we'll start out on the learner side. So both logins are going to have an opportunity for a user to retrieve their password by clicking on the Forgot Password link. This will just open up a dialog where the user will enter their username or email address, and they'll submit that information, and it will send them an email with a link that will allow them to reset their password. Like I said, that is available on the admin side as well. So logging in, we have your logo, and this is a free course that we have given to all of our users. I can remove it if you do not want it there. So my courses is going to list all the courses that the user has been assigned, and resume courses is going to list courses that the user has started but not completed, and catalog is going to show courses that the user can self-enroll into. Now I'm using this demo account, so it may look different whenever you first log in. Chances are, if this training has been disabled, then your users will not see anything on this page until your administrators have had an opportunity to assign training to the users. And then once training is assigned to the users, that information will show up on my courses. And going to the navigation on the right, this is pretty much going to mirror what we're looking at. So dashboard is going to be this main page that we're on. My courses is going to be courses that the user has started, catalog, courses that the user can enroll into, and resources. We can get to that later. I don't think it's going to be relevant. Calendar is going to be, excuse me while I exit out of this. Calendar is going to display any training that has a due date, and also any training such as instructor-led training. If a user has been assigned instructor-led training, then that date will show up here as well. Transcripts going to be information about training the user has completed. Courses, certificates, instructor-led training, and then it can also print out their certificate. I'm sorry, I might mute myself periodically to clear my throat. I'm getting over some bronchial stuff. Email support will open up an email dialog, which will allow the user to type an email that will come straight to me. So any questions about the user side?
Not so far.
Okay.
No questions for me either.
Okay. Feel free to interrupt if you have any questions at all. So going over to the user profile, this is going to open up information that will allow the user to edit their profile, and they can also reset their password themselves. So if I click change password, it'll ask me for the current password, and then I can enter a new password. Edit profile is going to allow a user to edit certain bits of information. They cannot edit first name, last name, or username, but they can add information such as middle name, phone number. If they want to put their address in, they can do that.
Now, Dusty, the administrator can see each student.
Yes, the administrator can see each student from the admin side. So going over to the admin side, like I said, you can either sign in through the admin login, or you can go to the navigation on the right and click admin. If you're not an administrator, you're not going to see the admin link on the right. But this is going to first bring us to the dashboard for the admin area. And you'll see that we have overview. And on the overview, probably the thing that you'll use the most is your saved reports. And I'll get into how to save a report in just a minute. Learners is going to have information about your learners. Right now you have 19 learners in the system. My demo is counting for one of those learners. And this is going to show information such as top learners, total learning time, 10 most recent completions. And if we come over to the courses dashboard, this is going to have information about courses. And right now, it looks very pretty much empty because you don't have users that are in the system completing training. But as you assign training to users and there's more activity in the system, you'll start to see these dashboards fill up.
So training has to be specifically assigned by the administrators. They don't get to pick and choose on their own what they want to, where they want to start at.
Well, that was my first question that I asked you, whether or not you wanted users to be able to enroll themselves into training. And if you do, then I can turn that on where the user can browse through the catalog and they can enroll themselves into any piece of training that they want to take.
Okay.
So that's, if you want, I can run that process tonight, and that way tomorrow users will be able to log in and take training at will.
Well, I think that will be subject to this being discussed by Matt and Rob and possibly myself.
I think that's a good idea for the more senior operators, maybe operator 2s and up. But for the 1 and 2s, maybe we better assign them.
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, so we have courses, learners, and overview, and the left side is going to be where you're going to be able to administer certain areas within the system. For example, this will be courses, users, and reports. Those are going to be the main areas. And I want to show you some of the layouts. I just want to spend a minute talking about the layouts, because essentially any page that you're looking at is going to be a report layout. So for example, this is the course page, but this is essentially a report. And with the reports, we have the option to determine what columns we want to show in this report. For example, if I don't want category to show, I can remove that. And we can add columns, and whenever we're happy with whatever layout we have, we can save this. If we come over to this, let me delete this. This is what the page will look like initially. So if we come to this layout and we can add certain information to this report, and once we're happy with the layout, we can click create new, and we'll call this whatever you want. So now you have a saved layout for this page, for this courses report. And if you want this to be the default report whenever you come to this page, all you would do is click the star here, and it would mark that as a favorite. Now going back to the dashboard, that report is now under My Saved Reports. So if I click my report layout, then it's going to take me to this page, and my layout's going to automatically come up. So looking at users, again, this is the same layout, and I'm going to clear this report. So whenever you come to this page, this is going to be the layout that you're going to see. Now, if you want to see other information, you have all of these options. For example, if you want to see the user's middle name, if you want to see who their supervisor is, if you have that information filled in the system. The date added, then you can add all of this information to your report and then save the layout. And favorite that. And now anytime you come to this page, this is going to be the layout for this page. And then going to the report section, this is broken down. I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time on these reports today. They're pretty simple the way they're laid out. For example, learner activity, learner progress, course activity, course summaries. It's going to be pretty self-evident whenever you have training or users that are completing training within the system. These will make a lot more sense, but because we don't have any completions in the system, everything's going to be blank. So for example, you aren't going to have any training history in the system. So any reporting isn't really going to make sense. So going to the courses page, I want to look at what options we have for editing. And this would also be true for the users page. So we have a list of users, and we have the actions column on the right. So whenever we come to a page, we see that we have the ability to add a new user, or we can import users into the system. If we select one user, then this information is going to change. We can edit the user, we can enroll the user into training, we can view the user's transcript, we can send a message to the user, we can reset their password, we can merge that user with another user if for some reason there's a duplicate in the system. Not all of these, you might not see all of these, but any actions that relate to users or groups of users will appear on the right. And if we select more than one user, our options are going to change. For example, we can still send a message to the users, activate, deactivate, we can reset password. We can change a user's department, we can enroll the users into training, and we can create a group of users. Now, you did mention that you wanted to kind of rework the self-enrollment options, so certain trainees that are in a certain area would have training available to them where they could self-enroll, whereas other trainees would not. So what we would do is we would either create a group for those trainees that you want the special rules for, or we would create a special department. Right now, everyone is in the same department. So if I were to apply any self-enrollment rules to the courses, I would only have this rule to apply it to. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So just something to think about before we hang up on the call. We can go through here and we can either create a group or we can create another department. Actually, that's what I'll do now. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and create a new department. So if I come over to users, I'll click departments. And what's the other department you had mentioned? Or do you just want to create a group?
Matt, did you want to go with PPO1s and PPOAs or power plant operator?
That'd be good. PPO1s and PPOAs.
And that would be
Okay.
one group, right?
Right.
So PPO1, 01 or
And
01?
That's right. That's good. And PPOA.
In this title?
Yes.
Okay, like that?
Correct. That looks good.
Okay. So I'm going to save that. And now we have a new department. So if I come over to users, I can select users to move to that department. Do you know off the top of your head which users are going to fall within that department?
Yeah, we would have Emilio Espinoza,
Okay.
Paragutev,
Kimbo?
Quimbo,
Yeah.
Co,
How do you spell that? Oh, Co.
K-O-H, Leilu, Lawrence, Thomas. Is that it, Orlando?
Let's see, who else is on that list? That's it, right? I think that's it.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Okay, so I have all of these users.
Time out. Well, that's right. Ramos is over at Calabasas and he's a 2 now, right?
Correct.
Okay, never mind.
So all I'm going to do is change department. So I'm going to choose the new department these users are going to be in. And accept, and now it's going to move the users to that department. So you can see that we have 2 departments in play now. We have LACSD and the new department. Now, do you want this department, users in this new department, to be able to self-enroll, or do you want them to have the limited ability?
I think I'd like to have limited ability for these guys.
Okay. So I want to talk about the way or the options that we have with setting users up, or actually self-enrollment. But before I do that, I want to touch on 2 more things. I want to look at the individual user profiles and how to edit those. Actually, I want to look at 3 things. So the first thing, edit user. This is going to have information that you're allowed to edit, and as an administrator, you should be able to edit all of the information. Now, if for some reason you have a license for 20 people, if you decide that, okay, I need to remove one user, this user is no longer valid, they no longer work here, do not recycle a user, because there's a back-end user ID that you do not have access to. I don't have access to it either. So if you are going to deactivate a user, you'd want to come to the page and click deactivate, or is active, click this and it will deactivate the user. And then on the previous page where you saw the button on the right to add a new user, that's where you would add the replacement. Details is just additional details that you have the ability to add. The supervisor, I think the supervisor is going to be here. You would have to actually pick who the supervisor is for a user. And I'll get to the significance of that here shortly. So account, you can determine whether or not a user is an administrator or a learner. Right now, most of the users are going to be learners. And more is just additional information that we have in the system. I have a date field in here so I can track when a user is added. So one column that we can have is admin, and this will show all of the users that are admins. So going back, taking a step back and talking about the report page layout, you'll see that we have these filters, and any one of these columns can be filtered. So I'm going to click the filter for is admin, and it's going to allow me to choose what the options are. So I can choose admin, yes is admin, or no is admin. So if I click yes and add filter, it's going to show me the admins that are in the system. And if I wanted to create a group of just admins, then I select all of these groups. And this is basically how you're going to create a group for any occasion or for any reason. A group will typically be something, for the example of, let's say you have several users and they don't quite fit in one department because you have some users that are in one department, other users that are in another department, but you want to group these users together. You would select the users, click create group, and name the group. So, so you would create the name. You don't want to create something that is vague. So for example, if you use admin, chances are there's going to be another group in the system that is called admin, because whenever you create a name for a group, it's adding it to the entire system, not just your little section of the system.
About energy recovery admin.
So if we click save, then, and you'll see that all of the groups are listed, and we have 53 groups here. If you click on another group that's not yours and you wanted to view the users, it's not going to show the users because you don't have rights to view those users. But the way the system is set up, unfortunately, all the groups are going to be grouped together. There's no way to filter out what you can see and what you can't see.
And these are groups outside of our organization?
Yes.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be to create something and maybe have an indicator so you know what it is. So for example, this, you can see where clients are putting their names. Or just something that's going to allow you to identify your information. And it's not something that you have to do. You can remove one of these if you want. So going back to users, there were a couple other things I wanted to show you. Whenever you are ready to send out your email to all of your users to let them know they have been entered into the system, what you'll do is you'll come over to your user page and you will select all the users that you want to email. And once you have all those users selected, you would come to reset password. You click reset password, and you have two options on this page. The first option is to send an email that's going to allow the user to reset their password. This would be the same email that would be sent if the user clicked the link on the login page. But what I want to point out is the send new user message. So this is going to send a template email, and you have the ability to edit this email. So it's going to have a link to reset their password. It's going to have their username, and there's also going to be a document that's going to have information about logging into the system for the first time. So like I said, you can edit this however you like, but the next time you send the email, those changes will not be in place. It's always going to revert back to this default template. So this is how you're going to send your users notification that they've been added to the system. And it would be my recommendation not to do that until you have training actually assigned to them. Next thing I wanted to show you is view enrollments. You have two options for viewing training for a user. You have user transcript. I don't really like user transcript. It's pretty, there's not a lot you can do. You're basically looking at the user's transcript. If you click view enrollments, you're going to see training that the user has been enrolled into, and you're also going to be able to edit the enrollment. On the transcript page, you cannot edit the enrollment. If you want to re-enroll the user into training, then you would click re-enroll, or you can click unenroll to remove training to remove that enrollment. And you can also enroll the user into training here. So if I click enroll, it's going to open up the dialog that's going to allow me to pick courses. So that's one way to enroll users into training. If I go back to the main user page, I can select multiple users, click enroll users, and then I can select the training that I want to enroll the users in. Now, one thing that I'll caution you on is selecting this box next to the category. What that's going to do, it's going to select every piece of training in that category. So this will be close to 100 individual courses that you would be assigning. So open up the category, select the courses that you want to add. You can also search for a keyword. And you can select that way. So once you have all your courses selected, click continue. And if you decide, okay, I don't want to add this course, click enroll, and that will assign the training to your users. Now there's another way, and that'll take us over to the courses page. So coming over to the courses page, your training is going to be added. And I do want to show you something on these pages whenever you're editing training or whenever you're adding training yourself. So if I click edit, this is the information that you can edit within a course. Now, a lot of these individual courses, I can edit these on the back end. And so for example, if I'm setting the availability for a course, then this is something that I would edit on the back end. That way you're not going to have to go through 500 plus pieces of training to make whatever change you want to make. Now there's an option down at the bottom, and I'll cover this again later, but the administrator availability is going to determine what administrators can see this training. Now, right now, only administrators at LACSD will be able to see this training. The reason why I'm showing you that is because I noticed this training right here. This client does not have this set. So I'm going to have to go back after this meeting and notify them that they're missing an admin setting. So if you create a curriculum, which I'll show you how to create a curriculum next, if you create a curriculum and you do not set the admin visibility, then every administrator in the system is going to see that training. So if you set enable course visibility and then set it to department and select your department, that's going to say that only administrators at LACSD will be able to see that training. If you create a training in the system and you don't want anyone else to be able to edit it within your department, then you would select yourself as the editor. And this is going to allow users in this department to see it. They'll also be able to assign that training, but you'll be the editor and no one else can edit it. So going through some other settings, this is self-enrollment. Is there a question?
No.
Okay. So allow self-enrollment is going to allow this training to appear on the catalog area. And this is going to, this brings me to a point that or a question I was going to ask you earlier. We can set the department to is only. So only LACSD will be able to enroll into this training. And any subdepartment means that anyone in LACSD plus any department under that will be able to self-enroll in this training. Now, so correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you do not want these users to be able to enroll?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier.
Okay. So what we would do is select this and have is only. So technically those other users are in a subdepartment, and you'll see that this is going to affect 13 users. So 13 users will be able to enroll in this training. If I change this to is only PPO1, then this has changed to 7 users. So I'm going to, whenever I set these admin rights, they're only going to be, or actually the self-enrollment rights, they're only going to be for LACSD, not the subdepartments. So anybody you move into a subdepartment, it's going to affect what they can enroll into.
Now, if we put them in that subcategory, the PPO1 and PPOA, and we assign them just what we want, can we also have the option of they can, besides doing what we assign them, go ahead and grab another course that they might be interested in?
And it's not going to affect the availability. So whenever you build training, this is going to determine whether or not it's going to appear in the user's catalog. This is going to determine whether or not the user can enroll themselves into the training. So if you decide that you want some other training available to your users, what I would recommend doing is coming over to this page and selecting that training that you want and just enroll your user into that training. And I'll show you one thing. Right now, this is showing 1 through 20 out of 573. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can change this to 1,000. And the reason why I'm showing you that is if you are going through and selecting several pieces of training, you can enroll your users and select all your training on one page. With the 20 items per page, if you, let me refresh this page. Actually, it didn't change. So if you have 20 items per page and you select 5 items on one page and you go to the next page, it's going to uncheck the items that you checked on the previous page. So I'm going to walk you through how to create a couple of other pieces of training. The first one being a curriculum. A curriculum will be how you will create a training program and be able to determine what groups of courses you want to deliver to your users. Now, once you assign a curriculum, all the training within that curriculum will be assigned to your user, and they can enroll into that training through the curriculum. So I'm going to create a training called Tool Safety. All you need is a title. If you have a thumbnail, you can choose a thumbnail. Courses, I'm going to create 2 groups. I'm going to click Add Group because I know I want my training in 2 groups. I'm going to have PPE and then tools. So my first group, I'll have my PPE courses. My second group will be the tools courses. So if I click Add Courses, I'll go to my safety courses, and I know my PPE courses are right here. And I can go to my tools courses, click Add Courses, and I'll just type in keyword tools, and I'll select these courses. Pretty simple. So we can create other groups, and this can be as long as you want. You can have as many courses as you want. You also have the ability to pace progress. Pace progress is going to force the user to complete this training in a certain order. So with pace progress turned on, the user must complete all of these training items before they can complete these training items. You can also set minimum courses. So if I change this to 2, the user has to complete 2 of these courses before they can proceed to the next group. But that's only if you have pace progress on. Now, if you have pace progress turned on, this is not going to override the availability on the individual course level. So if, for example, your user does have the ability to self-enroll in personal protective equipment, actually, if they have the ability to self-enroll in hand tools from the catalog, then assigning this curriculum to them is not going to affect their ability to self-enroll in the hand tools 1. It's only going to affect their ability to complete training within the curriculum. But if you don't have any training set to self-enrollment, then the user is not going to be able to enroll into this course and complete it outside of the curriculum. So availability, we've spent a little bit of time on availability. Self-enrollment, that's going to determine who can self-enroll in this training. We have all this different criteria. So if we have, if we go to our group, and what was the name of your group again?
PPO1, PPOA.
Yeah, that was a department. So we'll go to department. So the way we have this set, we have department is only PPO1. So only 7 users will be able to enroll in this training.
Okay, I think we got that backwards then because PPO1, PPOA are not going to be self-enroll.
Well, if you are creating a curriculum, so this is going to affect the curriculum. It's not going to affect the individual courses. So if you, for example, if you want users to be able to enroll in this curriculum, then you can set your self-enrollment for this individual curriculum. So you do have your individual settings for the individual courses where these users cannot enroll in individual courses. But if, for example, you set up a curriculum and you say, hey, maybe I want these users to be able to self-enroll in the curriculum, then this would be something that would allow them to enroll in the curriculum if they wanted. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
got it.
Hey, Matt, time out. I didn't see Oscar Valenzuela's name on that list. Are you planning to include him in this?
Yeah, we would have to get the 21st. Have to get one more. So that's on hold for right now, Orlando, till I could work that out.
Okay, very good.
You should still have another user available. I'm taking up one of those 20 seats. So after this training, I'll remove myself.
I think we would need 21, Dusty.
Oh, okay. Okay. So are there any other questions about adding more users or the enrollment?
I don't
So,
have any.
No, I think it would be most of it's playing around with it to get familiar with it.
okay. Well, I'll run through some of the other settings because this is really setting rich. It has a lot of great items available. So for example, if you want to set approvals, so this is where you would set approvals. You can make this a mandatory course. Now, if you aren't going to allow self-enrollment, then some of these aren't going to really matter. You can set a due date. So for example, if you want, let's say 3 months after this training is assigned to the user, there's a due date. So it will become past due. You can set prerequisites. Let's say, for example, you have tool safety 1 and then you have tool safety 2 as a prerequisite to tool safety 2. You could put tool safety 1. Of course, administrators, this is something that you always want to set. So you can set your editor if you want. It's not required. If you want other administrators to be able to edit the curriculum, you would not limit the editor. But you definitely want to set the availability. And all you have to do is click enable course visibility department, and then the department will automatically be selected. Completion is going to determine how the user will complete this training and then what will happen when they complete the training. So right now, we don't really have any completion settings, but we can make this into a certificate. Do you have any interest in creating certifications, or are you just interested in delivering training?
I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be much interest in everybody getting a certificate.
Okay, well, outside of getting like a physical certificate, so for example, if you had an expiration, let's say you had a certain forklift training, for example, and every year or every 3 years, a user had to complete that training, you can have the training expire. So 3 years after this training is completed, it's going to expire. And then we'll allow re-enrollment and we'll say 1 month before this training expires, the user is going to be automatically re-enrolled into this training. And so if you do have any training that that is going to be recurring, then you would want to utilize your certificate. And you could specify when it's going to expire. Is it going to expire on a certain date? Let's say it expires on December 31st. And then messages are going to be messages that are going to be triggered by certain events within the enrollment or within the training. So for example, this is the enrollment email and this is the completion email. So if we don't want completion emails, we can turn those off. There's a due date on this. So we have a nudge email. So we can say every 7 days, or you can say every month. So that's going to trigger an email to the user. And we can say we only want 2 emails or 2 nudges. And this is going to be a reminder that says, hey, you have training that's in the system that you still have not completed. And you can also use a custom template for each one of the emails. And the custom template will allow you to send it to administrators. And you can also send it to the user supervisor if you have that set within their profile. Resources will be anything that, like a PDF, if you want, let's say you have a new employee training, you might attach the new employee handbook. Just an idea. Anything that you want to attach to a curriculum or an individual course, you can attach that here. And more is just additional items that we have. We can show terms and conditions. So for example, if we want the user to accept certain terms before they can start the training, then we would set that here. I do want to go back to completions and show you one more thing. We have what's called a post-enrollment. So for example, if whenever the user completes the training, let's say for example, 2 days after they complete the training, they're going to be enrolled in these courses. So we click save, and then 2 days after they complete the training, whatever post-enrollment training we have set, the user will automatically be enrolled in. So I'm going to cancel out of this. But looking at the training, you do have the ability to filter this on what type of training. So for example, if it's a curriculum, you can filter to curriculum. And it will only show the curriculum that's in the system. So you can select several pieces of training and then click enroll users. And then you can select the users that you want to enroll in the training. And click enroll, and it will assign this training to those users. The one thing I want to touch on before our call is finished, course bundles. I've had people use course bundles. It's a nice way to just assign a group of courses, but you don't have the ability to run reports on course bundles. It's not something I encourage, but I will show you what it is. And it's exactly what it is. It's just a bundle of courses. So you select your courses that you want to assign. You determine your availability. Are their emails turned on? And that's it. That's all that you have the ability to set within that training. And then you can assign that training to your users. Are you going to be doing any instructor-led training that you would like to manage in the system?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. Well, we have about 5 minutes left, and instructor-led training is probably something I'd like to do fresh. So if you decide that you want to move forward, it's really simple. In my email, there will be a request link where you can schedule a meeting with me, and we can go through the training. We can probably do that in about half an hour. But anyway, are there any questions about any of the training that we've gone through so far?
No, I just think what we need to do, no questions on my part anyhow, but I think what all we need to do is determine who's going to get what training, go through the course catalog and make our selections and assign them.
Agreed.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the self-enrollment. So anyone that's in LACSD will be able to self-enroll in the training, but the users that are in this subdepartment will only be able to take training that has actually been assigned. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And that'll be in place after midnight tonight.
Okay, so say we get access to it this afternoon to make our selections and then hit that email to alert everybody. It'll be after midnight tonight, or we can start tomorrow after midnight.
You can start right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an is admin option. Yes. And I'm going to select each of your IDs and go back to users. I don't know why. Let's see. I'm not able to edit that user.